Guys, yesterday, 5 Palestinians were murdered. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost never gets discussed, Arab on Arab violence. I'm Ben, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, we're going to jump right into the show here with this article from the Jerusalem Post today. It says 5 people have been killed in a shooting in Yafia near Nazareth in a Thursday afternoon shooting incident, according to the Israeli police. The incident is believed to be criminal in nature, and police have opened an investigation into the event. This followed a shooting before in which a 3-year-old girl and a 30-year-old man were seriously injured in a shooting in Kfar Kana on Thursday afternoon. Mogen David Adom medics arrived at the scene and provided medical treatment for penetrating injuries. Both were transferred to Pariah Medical Center and for further treatment. The toddler is in serious condition for wounds but breathing. The 30-year-old is in critical condition and is unstable, according to Israeli media. So we're talking about 2 different shooting incidents that happened on Thursday, one in the afternoon with the man and the toddler, one that happened Thursday evening where 5 Arabs were murdered. We still don't really know exactly what happened. Details are kind of slowly starting to come out, but they're saying it was some form of gang or criminal violence in which these Palestinians were murdered. This comes from a Mogen David paramedic. He said, "We arrived at the scene with a large force, and we saw that the scene was a very difficult one. 5 injured people lay unconscious and suffering serious wounds to their bodies. We brought the injured to ambulances and mobile ICUs and evacuated them to the hospital in critical condition." This is a video from Twitter of the aftermath of this second shooting. And also, one of the cars was torched by, I guess, the members of this gang or whoever did the shooting. This is something that almost never gets talked about in the Arab-Israeli, Arab-Palestinian discussion that happens in all media networks for the most part, and basically all government entities around the world for the most part. The discussion is almost entirely on Jewish on Arab violence, which for the most part does not exist, or Arab on Jewish violence, terrorism, which exists a lot. But Arab on Arab violence is something that almost never, ever gets discussed. I have a couple of stats here for you also from the Jerusalem Post. They say that the Abraham initiatives shared data on the continuance of Arab violence in Israel, specifically in 2023. In this year alone, 97 Arabs lost their lives in incidents of violence and crime. 90 were citizens, while 7 were not. In the same period of the last year, 35 people had been killed. Within 2022, 86 victims had been fatally shot, with 42 under the age of 30. 6 of them were women. So in the first half of 2023, we're only the first 6 months in, 97 Arabs have lost their lives in incidents of violence and crime. 97 Arabs, and this is talking about inside of Israel proper, quote unquote Israel proper, pre-1967 borders, where Israel has full sovereignty. Inside of Judea and Samaria, there are massive Israeli cities that we know for a fact horrendous Arab on Arab crime exists. We see the aftermath of it all the time, but since they're controlled by the Palestinian Authority, we have no actual data coming out of these cities as far as how many Arabs get murdered on a daily basis. So inside of Israel proper, we're talking about 97 Arabs have already lost their lives just this year alone. And in 2022, all of 2022, there were a total of 86 Arabs fatally shot by other Arabs inside of Israel proper. We talk about Arab on Jewish terrorism a lot because it's a horrendous thing and something we are personally involved in. But in 2023, if my count is correct, to date, tragically, there's been 25 Jews killed by Arabs for the crime of living in Judea. But what no one talks about is 97 Arabs have been killed by other Arabs as well. There's a serious violence problem here that really needs to be addressed. Benjamin Netanyahu is saying that they're going to bring the full force of the Shabach, the Shin Bet, to bear on these Arab gangs inside of Israeli cities. He's going to bring them to the Shabbat is basically like the FBI inside of Israel. So they're going to open investigations and really work to start weeding out this violence inside of Arab communities. We're going to kind of get into why this violence exists here in a second. But first, Israel 365 has written a book that every Bible believer should own in their home. We've already ordered our copy and are excited to tell you about it today. 75 Hebrew words you need to understand the Bible by our friends and partners at Israel 365 is a beautifully crafted book that explains, translates, and unlocks the hidden meaning of 75 core Hebrew words. Each word is accompanied by an in-depth essay exploring its significance, connections to related Hebrew words, and the secrets only accessible through the original language, featuring translated and transliterated verses in their proper biblical context, stunning visuals, and elegant design. This exceptional book is a valuable resource for Bible study, a captivating conversation starter, and an ideal gift for loved ones. Use our link in the description below to pre-order your copy today. Don't miss this opportunity to get your copy today at a special discounted pre-order price. The book will be shipping in June this month, later on 2023. So now is the perfect time to get your copy and take the first step in unlocking biblical secrets of the Hebrew Bible. Click the link in the description below to pre-order your copy today. So more on this track of Arab violence, also from the Post. Says on Wednesday of this week, 2 separate violent incidents were reported. Early Wednesday, a 23-year-old man was seriously injured in a shooting in the village of Deir Hana in northern Israel. Police have opened an investigation into the incident and believe that it is part of an ongoing dispute between criminals. On Monday, an Israeli Arab man named Khalid Halabi was killed in a shooting in the village of Khalid in northern Israel. An Israeli Arab youth in his 20s was shot and killed in Nazareth on Wednesday night amid a series of killings since the beginning of the year in the Arab sector. Police have opened an investigation into the shooting. The victim has been identified by the Israeli media as Alman Zawabi from the village of Sulam near Afula. Something very few Westerners understand, and in fact, very few Western governmental leaders or people who are tasked with creating peace in the Middle East, very few of them realize is the tribal nature of Arab identity. Going back a very long time, Arabs in the Middle East have been very tribal in nature. And if you think about it, it makes sense with the desert climate, these kind of Bedouin communities in desert climates. You have families who expand to become big patriarchal clans. And within those patriarchal clans, resources are very finite in the desert. You know, there's only certain wells of water, certain places you can find shade, grass for your sheep and your cattle and such. As such, you have these clans, these tribes start with families, expand to very much extended families, and they have to guard the finite resources that they have in the desert. This leads to very strict sense of tribalism. Inside of the Middle East, even though we have countries, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt today, these different countries, inside of all these Arab countries, there are thousands of Arab tribes. Some of them have cooperations and work together. Some of them are okay with each other. A lot of them hate each other's guts. And inside of Israel, even inside of Israeli proper, where we have a lot of Arabs who have become Israeli citizens and have full equal rights under the state of Israel, same as the Jews, unfortunately, a lot of this tribalism still very much exists. And we've seen so many stories of this happen before. Obviously, we have the violence played out, all the stats I just read to you just now, all kinds of crazy stories that I can't get into right now that we've heard on a personal basis of stuff just in between family clans inside of Israel proper and also Judea and Samaria. Horrific violence, Arab on Arab violence because of these clans, because of these tribes. We tend to look at Arabs as being a unified bloc, as being like, oh, you're a Palestinian, so therefore you care about Palestinian causes, or oh, you're an Egyptian, so therefore you fill in the blank. Very much of that is not true. Some of it does exist, but at its core identity, many Arabs still identify very tribally, and as such, it makes sense. There's a lot of reasons why Palestinians refuse to accept Israel's right to return to the land of Israel, but on just a very, very basic level, Israel is a tribe coming in from the outside from their perspective, and as such, it's a unifying factor for tribes that even hate each other's guts. Inside of Israel or Judea and Samaria, it's a unifying factor to say there's another tribe that we hate even more and that we can rise up and fight against. And so this is a call to you, Arabs inside of Israel, Israeli Arabs. If you care about peace inside of Israel, peace for yourselves and for your children, you have to settle this violence. You have to allow the Israeli government, the Israeli intelligence organizations to weed out these gangs, to weed out these criminal enterprises that are causing so much violence inside of Israeli Arab communities, also inside of Judea and Samaria. You have to encourage Israeli sovereignty so that you can actually get a government in that cares about you, and that this tribal violence, it really, really needs to end if you want to be taken seriously by Western governments, by Western communities, Western people, and by the state of Israel itself. Guys, subscribe, get the conversation going down below. We love hearing from you. We love hearing the comments and engaging with you guys there in the comment section here on YouTube. As always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.